Hello everyone and welcome to the first part of the preview video for the Massena Milestone for Warno, and it's a huge milestone, it's a huge patch, so it will be separated in 4 different videos. Two about the 2 new divisions, one about the patch changes when it comes to balance changes and especially the tank rework, and then one about the 7 new maps, 2 completely new and 5 pretty good recuts of existing ones in the 4th video. So with that said, let's start here in video number 1 with the first division, a NATO division, a German division with some lovely support from other nations. One new nation hits the battlefield with the first French units coming in this, and this is Territorialkommando Süd under Bundeswehr control. And let's go in here and have a look. And this might become my favorite division in the game so far. That much I already tell you at the beginning. And the logistics tab is not the reason why though. They rebalanced logistics prices. I feel like they're in a really good spot now. Mancut now 60 points. CH 53, free availability 75 points. Slightly more expensive, but also carries a bit more supply and is more mobile than the Mancut 6x6, so that is nice. You have a good amount of slots here. Iltis leader is a nice unit as well. 4 availability leader is always good. If you want to have something with armor, you have also one option here with the M577 GA2. Decent option as well. Not amazing, but if you want to have some armor, it's what you get. And then we have the infantry tab. And the infantry tab is really big and has some lovely options. In the top row, we have a new German unit in form of the Reserve Pionier, which are reserve pioneers. So second line unit. It's only 6 hit points, but they bring you TNT. MP2s are decent weapons as well. They only come in on experience level poor, as they are reserve units. But you get 12 of them per card, so they're pretty good at holding towns for you for a cheap price. They can keep you line of sight there, and if any enemy unit comes too close, they throw TNT on top and let them explode. So that's pretty nice. You still get the Handflammenpatrone, which got nerfed though, but that was because they were the best CQC unit before, and they still are, though now you have to pay a bit more for them and the MP2s. And then you get some normal pioneers as well, and some pioneer with Armbrust. All of them have to come in on the mock. No Fuchses in this deck, as they are a reserve real line unit. So no special transport here. Heimatschützen und Sicherung, also known entities. Both also only coming in Unimox. Feldjägers doing the same. And then you got a Milan 2, no Milan 1, no Milan 2 with the Germans. And the M401 Recolor's Rifle. But then you get some really cool elite unit here that come out to help out this formation with dealing with any prick through Soviet or East German units behind the lines. And these are the Green Berets to clean up behind the lines. These special forces have been given to the Territorialkommando Süd, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Great boots, great jeans, and an amazing weapon loadout as well. 2 MGs and an 84 for 40 points is value pure. Decent transport with the Humvee. Blackhawk, still slightly overpriced. I wouldn't recommend bringing them in the Blackhawk, but in the Humvee, they do an amazing job. Putting them within a Pioneer swarm, for example, is pretty nice, that the 84 can do a good job. Maybe slightly, yeah, like it's work in progress, as you can see in this build. 8 84s, maybe a slight bit too much. 6 or 4 would make more sense. So that should be adjusted. But still, 40 points, having an 84 and having a good amount of firepower as well is really nice. And they come on good veterancy and with decent availability as well. Then you get your Jaegers with Jaeger leaders, and then you get one more new unit, which is special to this division, in form of the Aeromobile of the French army. Their mobile, their air assault formation. helping out this formation in keeping at the Soviets and the East Germans away from the French border around Sentak. And they have a new rifle in form of the FAMAS. They have a new LMG in form of the AANF-1. Both decent loadouts, not any different. Like the AANF has the same stats as the MG3. The FAMAS has the same as the M16 or the AK-74. And then they get an amazing AT weapon though. The AT rocket launcher in form of the Apilas has great range, great accuracy, and great penetration. So this formation can deal with armored targets pretty well, which this formation absolutely needs. Territorialkommando Süd is not the best when it comes to having own big tanks, so having good infantry AT is key. And then all of these units come in one of the most gorgeous helicopters I have seen in this game so far. Or in general, the Super Puma is just a really beautiful chopper, and I'm loving it totally. And yeah, it helps these guys getting into places where maybe other infantry would struggle to get to, but you also have to pay a bit of an extra price. You get a leader for these as well, but it's not really special, with 6 FAMAS. And then a Milan that has to come, Milan 2. So you get a Milan 2, but you have to bring them in Super Pumas as well. And Milan 2 also not that cheap anymore, but they are pretty capable in dealing with tanks. And then you get the Green Berets as a leader version as well. And this is one of the best leaders in the game. They also can come in Chinooks, but yeah, the Humvee version is pretty cool as well, as these leaders get a flash and 3 LMGs and 9 carabines, so they have amazing damage output on all ranges, and especially in CQC. Running into this in CQC, it absolutely annihilates you. So a good leader to hold flags where you only want them in, and like where you don't want to invest any more points, and you expect infantry to come in maybe that tries to sneak behind the lines. These guys will hold that and will give them a surprise welcome and completely annihilate those units. So a really great leader, though only 2 availability, which is a big drawback for a CV unit. But all of these slots only cost 1 point, so you might be able to afford that. And then the artillery tab. Currently, artillery isn't rebalanced. That is coming with a future patch. So artillery in general, not amazing. But the artillery tab here is decent. You get some mortars. You get 1 mobile unit in form of the, yes, somewhat dated, but still capable HS-30 PZ Mörser. It still gets you a Tampella Mörser onto the battlefield that you can then use to smoke, and that's currently the biggest use case of mortars. They are still really amazing at laying smoke, just the damage is a bit lackluster maybe on them. And then the Feldhaubitze 155 is a decent artillery piece as well. Does some damage, but the reliability on artillery currently is a bit lackluster, so I wouldn't recommend using them too much, though in team games they can do the job. And in 1v1 they also can help out. And then you get a lighter version with the 105mm FH M1A2, the 105mm artillery piece with 12 rounds per minute, so really good rate of fire, but quite a bit less damage compared to the bigger 155mm artillery piece. So good amount of slots, no self-moving artillery, but still good enough availability and caliber to deal some damage with this artillery tab as well. Tank tab, you don't have much caliber, but you at least have numbers. Your biggest tube is a 105mm M48A2 GA2, a new version that we haven't seen yet of the M48, which is somewhat capable at least, with 15 penetration and 45% accuracy, and a really cheap price on the current tank pricing scale still, though the other even cheaper options might be even better. The Kanonjagdpanzer really profits from its stealth. Like, if this thing has to fight against other tanks that spot it from the get-go, it will lose most fights, because it has a horrible frontal armor, and its gun needs at least 2 shots usually to kill. But it has smoke, and it has solid stealth, and it has a good rate of fire as well. So once you get on target, you can deal pretty well. And often with the mediocre stealth, if the enemy doesn't have any recon units with his push, you can punish them for it. And for 35 points, that's pretty good. The M48 has the same, a similar gun, slightly better accuracy. No, same accuracy actually, but at least has a stabilizer. But only 5% on that one, so that's not really useful. But it has a bit more frontal armor, so though loses the stealth. So it's a nice support tank for cheap, but not something you want to rely on heavy tank fights either. Though against T55 it might still be enough. But as it comes, you really can't deal with heavy tanks in this tank tab outside of one unit, and that's the P4 Milan. A unit that might even be slightly undervalued currently in its cost, as it carries 4 Milan 2 missiles currently. Maybe should carry a bit more, as the reload stack shows 6 or indicates 6, so maybe should go up to 6 and then maybe go up to 40 points, as it has a Milan 2, which is a capable ATGM. Range a bit on the mid-size, but the damage is on the good side, and that allows you gives you a chance to deal with some medium tanks at least, like T62s, T72s, and M1 Abrams can be dealt with this, and that is an important capability in this tank tab. So I would always recommend taking the P4 in some form or another and then fill up with tanks. Good availability on these cards. You get 3 cards of these as well, so you can get a lot of M48s in your deck if you want. You won't run out of tanks quickly, but you really like top-end tanks in the tank tab. Recon, though, gives you one more tank, one more option to deal with tanks, and a new exceptional optics unit. We don't have too many of them in this game, so this is a novelty in form of the Radar Panzer Green Archer, which can help spotting units from afar for 40 points, so that's quite nice. Then you get Jäger Aufklärers and Aufklärers, decent recon infantry, not amazing, not terrible. You get a Gazelle with a 30mm cannon, which is helpful. 30mm cannon is somewhat capable, can deal with light armor, can deal with infantry, has decent range against ground targets, and is better than the Gatling gun, but obviously not super efficient against infantry. It doesn't kill them super quickly, not a rocket helicopter. Though for 70 points might be worthwhile, especially as it only costs 10 points more than the version without the gun. So 10 points for the gun might be nice. Then you get Fallschirmjäger B1s, which are some special force Fallschirmjägers with a really good weapon loadout. 7 MP5s, 1 HK21 and some TNT. Allows these to be wrecking town fights, and with the forward deployment they can get into the spots. And then you get the best gun in this division in the recon tab in form of this absolute gorgeous AMX-10 RC, which is a super mobile unit, 108 kilometers on the road, 72 kilometers off the road, really good speeds there, outpaces every tank in the game, and the cannon is amazing. 65% accuracy when static, doesn't have a stabilizer, so only 10% accuracy when moving, but the 70mm penetration is great. And you have good optics, mediocre stealth, so you can hide from enemy tanks, and you can really use this thing to snipe things like T62s or so from the side, or even from the front if they don't have recon around, and you can shoot twice on them. I would recommend using them on 1-star veterancy to give them up to really high accuracy numbers, and also really good rate of fire, as they start on 8, and with 10 they're quite a bit more capable. And then maybe use them in pairs of 2, and have those 2 squadrons of them running around. I used them in a game against Resman on stream today, when testing these divisions, and they were the one reason why I didn't lose against them. We did draw in that game, because they killed so many T-34-85s, so many enemy T-62s, that it really was an insane thing to watch. And it was not that Resman is a bad player, it's just these things are so useful. If you micro them well, they can do a lot of work. Though you have to be careful, as anything hitting you might be your end with 3 frontal armor. And then we get into maybe the best AA tab in the game, in this division. Another reason to play this deck. And yeah, the reason why I think this is a great addition as a deck. Yes, it has a bit of weaknesses with the tank tap and so on, but it has some cool novelties as well, including a blast from the past. Steel Division 2 players know this thing too well. Whenever you run into an allied division, you run into Bofors, and you will do this once more in 1.0 now as well, with the Bofors 40mm here. Has decent range against helicopters, has okay range against aircraft, though does really little damage, and the accuracy is abysmal, as it obviously doesn't have any modern fire support targeting system. But that is your low end, and you get good availability, and it's cheap, and in combination with the Eyehawk, which you also get here, it's great, because the Eyehawk does 9 damage, and then if the Flak Bofors deals only a single damage to the enemy plane or helicopter, that's enough usually to get to finish it off. So for 110 points, you get a good combo, having the Bofors a bit further forward, having the Eyehawk in the rear, and doing that. If you want to do that even cheaper, with a bit less range though, you can also go for a single 20mm AA piece. And then, if you want to have some more mobile ATGMs that maybe don't get hit by artillery as easily, you have both Roland options as well. 2 cards of Roland 3s even. So this AA tap, as I said, might be the best in the game, and I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah, enemy planes will have a rough time against this formation. Then you have a helicopter tap, and it's fully French. You might think you may have switched divisions, but no, it's still a German division on paper, but a French helicopter tap in form of 3 Gazelles. One with a hot 2, really good ATGM. One with a hot 1, still a good ATGM, though slightly, or a good amount less accuracy, and the penetration also drops off slightly. And then, the cheapest helicopter in the game, I think, so far, the Gazelle Cannon, with the 30mm cannon. You lose the optics, so that's why it's not as expensive as the Recon version. But it's 50 points cheaper, and you get 9 of them in a card. So you can really spam these Gazelles. And maybe they should go up to 25 points. But they obviously are super fragile. 5 hit points, and can be hit from afar. And they don't have any rockets to help out, like the Little Bird has. That's why the Little Bird is more expensive, because it can wipe out an infantry unit quickly. This thing here can't. You need to shoot on infantry for a while to get the kill there. You can't stun them down quickly or anything like that. But it's still a cool helicopter. And yeah, nice helicopter tap here for this division. And then in the air tap, you get a couple of new units as well. A couple of old versions, older planes of Starfighter here. Don't think we have one with bombs yet though. Might be misleading. I think we have one with AT. We have a fighter version. Not sure we have a bomber version. We get it here though. And we get it with great availability for a plane. So that's quite insane. 6 of them. Then you get an AA anti-air F4F with 4 Sidewinder missiles. AM9Ls. Decent Sidewinder, but not great. Oh no, actually pretty bad Sidewinders, because they only deal 4 damage. But this is also a pretty cheap plane, and the F4F is a decent platform. But I would recommend going for another air-to-air plane, and that is the Mirage 2000 C RDI, which is a decent looking bird. I'm not the biggest fan of French aircraft design. I love the helicopter looks. I love the Super Puma. I like the Gazelles. I don't like the looks of the Mirages too much. But this one has good performance. It's nearly identical with the MiG-29 in performance and price. It has a mid-range, mid-accuracy missile, and it has a short-range, mid-damage, mid-accuracy missile. And then it has very good agility and 30 ECM, which is slightly more than the MiG-29, but I think the missiles are slightly worse, and the same speed. So the MiG-29 is a great fighter, so I wouldn't expect anything less from the Mirage 2000, and from my experience so far with it, it is pretty good. Then you have an AT F4F, you have a Mirage 5 cluster version, so another new French plane for dealing with tanks. And then we have the return of the GBU, We had them in one of the alpha versions. They were taken out because they were coming on the Tornado, which didn't make much sense. Now they come on an F111, and they come with a big price tag. The most expensive plane currently in the game, I think. But also the deadliest plane maybe in the game at the moment. 4 900 kilogram guided bombs. So that's pretty big payload, and they do a lot of damage. I annihilated the whole infantry line of resonance with these. They do a lot of damage against soft targets, but obviously you kind of want to get them out and get them around once more. So the F111 with its exceptional agility and 30 ECM can survive, especially as it drops from high altitude. So a nice finish off to a decent deck. Yes, you lack direct medium-sized tanks, but you have the other tabs to help you out with it. The GBU can deal damage. You have some AT planes that can help out with tanks. Your helicopters have AT capabilities and are spammable. In general, spam is something that goes with both of these new divisions pretty well. The Bofors and the Ihawks giving you good air, anti-air. You have some new amazing units here in form of the Fallschirmjäger B1 and the AMX-10 RC in the tank tab, in the recon tab. Tank tab, not great, but workable, I would say. And then a really strong infantry tab with a lot of cheap German infantry, and then some great high-end to finish up with the Green Beret and the Aeromobile. So, really loving this deck, loving the look of it, and I think Eugen did a good job in making this a unique and fun experience to play with. And I hope to get it out soon with you, all of you, and get it done out and ranked and seeing it in tournaments. And with that said, this is the first part, but don't you be sad about this video ending now, because as I said, a lot coming your way. We will go into the East German division next, and then into all the patches afterwards in the 2 videos after that. So 3 more videos to come. See you all there. If you don't want to miss them, click the subscribe button and let me know down below what you think about the new division. And see you all next time. Bye bye.